Hello, ladies and gents. Had a few questions on some of my Facebook posts, especially about the bug out bag. So what I thought I'd do is do a series of videos on building your bug out bag, and we're going to start the first one off with packs and shelters. So before we get into that, a few considerations you need to take when you're building your pack. The first one is the rule of threes. We talked about this in one of the posts. Basically, the rules of three is you're not going to be able to survive more than 3 minutes without air or with severe blood loss. You're not going to be able to go more than 3 hours in some kind of severe weather without shelter. No more than 3 days without water, and no more than 3 weeks without food. Now, those are just general rules, obviously, but those are great guidelines to go by. Beyond that, we also need to think about our environment. Obviously, I'm in a temperate woodland environment, early spring here, so we need to take that into consideration when we're loading up our bug out bag. So those are the two main things. One of the other things you're going to want to consider is not just your general environment, but what kind of terrain are you going to have to go over. Are you in an urban environment? Are you more rural like this? Specifics about what you're going to have to cover. Now, I mentioned pack-wise, you're going to want to go with the backpack, because bottom line is, even if you start out in a vehicle, roads may become impassable. Maybe the event happened when you're almost on empty, didn't have a chance to fill up on gas. Whatever the case may be, at some point you may be on foot. There are those that maybe they don't have a backpack yet, all they have is a roller suitcase. That's a great place to start, but I would consider getting a backpack at some point. Now, you don't have to go all out and buy some kind of special pack or anything. I'll cover some of the alternatives, right? And there's some cheap versions and there's some not so cheap versions. I would say get the best one that you can afford, because bottom line is you don't want to be in the middle of a bad situation and have a seam rip out and dump all your stuff in the middle of a bug out. So let's start off with the packs. Something else to think about is your skill level. Obviously, the more skills you have, especially when it comes to the outdoors, the less stuff you need to carry. So some people might be able to get away with a smaller pack. This one here happens to be the Arceteryx 24 blade. It's a really nice pack, really easy to organize stuff. It's got a lot of separate pockets, so you can do one pocket for shelter, another pocket for food and water, and so on. So it's very easy to organize stuff. It is fairly small though. You're not going to get a whole lot of stuff in here. So I would recommend this. It's almost riding that line between an everyday carry bag and a bug out bag. I have used this more in the summertime as my travel bag, because I can put what I need in it and it'll fit in my suitcase, and I don't have to pay for another checked luggage. But it is small. It's, like I say, it's riding that line between an everyday carry bag and something big enough to be a bug out bag. The next size up would be like a military style assault or 3-day pack. This one happens to be Black Hawk 3-day pack. Again, it's got multiple pockets, in this case just 3. So it is fairly well organized, but the 3 pockets really are just big pockets. There's no separate pockets inside of them. So one of the things you might have to do is organize your stuff into smaller bags and load it in here. One of the good things about this one, being the next step up from something small, is that it's got a slot for a hydration bladder. So you can put your bladder in here, have the tube out, and have water to drink on the move, as well as having a fairly good size pouch for putting additional water, shelter items, and so forth on there. It's also got some straps on the outside, so you can strap other equipment to it, such as an axe, small shovel, something like that. You might want to strap to the outside of it. And it's got tool loops and areas where you can strap stuff to the bottom of the pack. I would say this would probably be the most common type of bag for most people. Doesn't have a frame. It's just got a foam back pad on it. This is probably the one that's the most affordable for most people and the easiest to use. Now so far these have been frameless, so the next step up would be something with a frame. In this case you can get a really good pack for really cheap, and that would be something along the lines of the military Alice pack. You should be able to get a medium or a large pack with a frame anywhere from $30 to $50 depending on where you get it. They're really good packs. They hold up well, obviously under stress. They're mil spec. I know guys that have had their packs for more than 20 years. They got them in the Army and they managed to keep them, and they're still using them and they're still going strong. So this type of pack likely won't fail you, and if it does, it's very easy to repair. It's very tough nylon. You get some good upholstery thread and stitch it back together, and it's going to hold up another 20 years. In this case, what this one is kind of an upgrade from the Alice. This is the Spec Ops brand Recon Ruck, somewhere around the $80 range. And what they've done is they've switched out the old style buckles with the new plastic buckles, and they've also added a Velcro strip to the outside pouches. So any of you all familiar with the Alice pack, you know that you take a tumble down a hill or you do the rucksack flop, and there was always that chance that something could pop out of that outside pocket. Well, it kind of helped you out here with the Velcro, kind of helped seal it up a little better. What they've also done is added molle webbing to the sides and to the top, so you can add additional pouches, flash stuff here. In this case, I don't have my axe in it, but I've got a pouch for my axe, and I've also got the panel for a blowout first aid kit. All right. This particular frame, I'll show it to you, but unfortunately this company is no longer in business. This is from Azora. It's called the Pack Mule frame. It was built specifically for their backpack, but it does work, as you can see, with the military Alice style pack. What I really liked about it was it's a very sturdy frame, conforms to your back very well, but it's also, when the sleeping pad's not in the way, you have to get that out of the way, but it folds out into a seat, so you can keep up off the cold, wet ground should you have to stop and take a break. So I really enjoyed using that pack. Also, obviously, has the ability to strap extra gear to the outside of it besides the molle webbing. So that's an external frame. The next one would be an internal frame. Usually these are larger packs, but you can find something in the 3-day size with an internal frame. This one happens to be the Kelty 50. Just like the 3-day pack, it's got a slot for a water bladder. So this one, I actually have the water bladder in here with the tube coming out so I can drink on the move. It's got multiple pouches on the outside of it. In this case, these pouches are broke down. There's once you open up the main pocket, there's organization pockets on the inside of it. The other thing I like about this one, instead of just being a top loading big pouch, this one is more of a clamshell where you can just open it up part way and load stuff into the main pouch, or you can unzip it all the way and lay it out to make it easier for loading up. So those are the most common options as far as packs go for the bug out bag. I would highly recommend any of these. Obviously, these are my packs. I use them all the time, and I would trust being able to use these in just about any situation. So that pretty much covers the packs. We'll move on to shelter. All right. Inclement weather hits, we need to get a shelter up, and we need to get it up quick. While you can carry something like a tent, I know they make 1 and 2 man and 3 man and 4 man dome tents that are fairly lightweight, fairly easy to set up. They do take up a lot of room in your pack. Some of the options that I've showed here, you'd be able to strap it to the outside, leaving more room in your pack. But again, the tent option is usually heavier than some of the other things I'll show you here. That is an option. So one of the easiest things is just a simple space blanket. Now, the beauty of these is that they're reflective on the inside, so they'll reflect body heat, and you can simply just wrap up in this, or it's got grommets on it, so you could set it up like a lean-to or a very small A-frame. Very nice, very lightweight option to go with. One of the other very nice, very lightweight, multifunctional is the good old military poncho. All right, where this one you kind of have to wrap it around you. It's kind of got limited coverage. The poncho, obviously, you can throw on. It covers you and your pack while you're moving, or you can set it up as a lean-to, as an A-frame, and whatnot. Various ways you can set them up. Another good thing about the military ponchos is if there's multiple people, say you're traveling in a group, you can snap these together and make a much larger shelter for everybody, so you can all get in, share body heat and whatnot. Continuing on with the overhead cover, what I've been preferring lately is a trail tarp. In this case, I've got an 8-foot by 8-foot trail tarp from Sportsman's Guide. I haven't had a chance to use this particular one yet. I still want to get out here soon and do that. But I have another trail tarp from Eno. That's the same way. It's a coated nylon, 8-foot by 8-foot. Again, very versatile. You can set it up a variety of ways: a diamond, shelter, A-frame, lean-to. Although you can't snap it together like a poncho, you could, with a little bit of creativity, combine it with another tarp and set up a larger shelter for other people. Obviously, something that'll help you set up shelter is a few tent stakes, some cordage. In this case, I use 550 cord. Some of the options you can do with that to help set up stuff quickly are bungee cords. That pretty much takes care of the overhead cover. Now, once we have overhead cover, obviously we need some way to sleep. Most people's go-to would be some kind of sleeping bag. In this case, this is the U.S. military patrol bag. It's got a Gore-Tex bivy on the outside of it with a 50-degree rated sleeping bag inside of it. This also comes with another sleeping bag to put inside of it, and altogether I think the rating goes down to 0 or below with the entire system. I typically don't use the big bag though. I just use the patrol bag in the bivy sack because I'm usually carrying one of these other options along with me to add another layer. The easiest and the one I prefer using for most seasons, even going into the winter, is the poncho liner, again from the military, and it's just a quilted nylon blanket. It's got ties on it to be able to tie into the grommets of your poncho, for those of you that haven't used it before. So if it's chilly out but raining, you could have your poncho liner inside the poncho, have it on, continue movement if you wanted, or set up your poncho as a shelter and curl up in the poncho liner. This really isn't going to do you much good when you start getting down below, say, 35 degrees. I wouldn't go much below that with just the poncho liner. You're going to want like a space blanket, or in this case, what I really like carrying is a Gore-Tex bivy by itself. You can use the military one if you want, or you can get a more compact, lighter version such as this one from Snug Pack. You can stick the poncho liner in here, crawl inside, and even if you're wet, a couple hours, being it's Gore-Tex, you'll wake up bone dry. Obviously you'll need something to sleep on. The easy way, and if you're in more open country, you might want to consider a foam pad, and you can get anything from a simple yoga mat on up to, like this one is a Thermarest, made specifically for lightweight backpacking. There's all different varieties out there. Basically this is just to get you away from the ground, so there's some separation and there's a thermal barrier between you and the cold hard ground. Speaking of that, I actually like to get a little further away from the cold hard ground, and just about all the time I'm carrying a hammock. In this case, a hammock from Eno, just a lightweight nylon backpack hammock, and I've got the nylon strap suspension system for it, for hanging from the trees. It gets me up off the ground, and being a solid nylon hammock, it gives me another layer to my sleep system. If you want a little bit lighter weight option, you can get a net style of hammock, and one of the beauties of the net hammocks is that they will also double as a tool to use when you're foraging. You could use it as a fish net, right? You could just use it as some kind of extra carrier while you're foraging for food and whatnot, just to carry stuff with. I've actually used it to carry a bundle of firewood before. They're fairly strong. Obviously they've got enough carrying capacity for my big frame to sleep in, so they'll carry a lot of weight. Very versatile item to have, and would highly recommend it. There's some other options out there that I don't have. One of them I've been meaning to get is another version of the BoB bag. It's made by Adventure Medical Kits, their SOL line, and it's breathable. Most Mylar type space blankets or bivy bags obviously aren't breathable. They're great when you first get in. They reflect your body heat, but they hold in condensation, so you wake up cold at some point anyway. In this case, they've come out with a new bivy bag that's breathable, and I really want to get that and try it out. I haven't yet. As soon as I have, I'll do a review on it and do a video on that one. Speaking of those, again, there's the Mylar blankets and their older style emergency bivy sacks. They're great short-term options. They don't hold up well to a lot of abuse. All of this stuff here I use all the time when I go camping or hiking or whatnot, so I can vouch for you know, its durability. With the Mylar blankets and stuff, you're really only going to get, you know, a day or two, a time or two's use out of them, because they really just don't hold up that well. So that's something to watch out for. It's a great item to have with you. It's better to have nothing, but again, I wouldn't trust it to last forever. Now, part of the shelter is what you're wearing on your body. All right, so you're going to want some good sturdy clothing on. I'm not saying you should go all military or camouflage or anything, but obviously when you're bugging out, it's not the time to be, you know, wearing your Sunday best. All right, so you want good sturdy clothing on. You're also going to want to have a few items in your pack to supplement that. One of the most versatile is some kind of bandana. In this case, I have a shemagh. Most of you guys in the military will be familiar with this, but this is one of the most versatile items you'll have in your pack. I like the larger shemagh because I can use it as a scarf when it's cool out. You're in a more dusty environment, use it for a face mask, use it for a head wrap, add a layer to your head. You can use it for like a pre-filter for water. You need to fill up your water bottle from a stream or a pond or something. This will help filter out the heavy stuff before it goes in the bottle. Use it for a bandage, use it for a tourniquet. It's just all around a great item to have with you. Another thing most people really don't think about is a set of gloves. Even when it's not cold out, it's great to have a set of gloves to keep from getting cuts and nicks on your hands. Say you're cutting firewood or whatever the case may be. You want to avoid any kind of unnecessary wounds, so we don't start getting into some kind of infection event. So a nice pair of gloves is great to have with you. I like the mechanics gloves. Gives you some cut protection, and they got nice palms on them for gripping your axe, tomahawk, shovel, whatever the case may be. Obviously, when it's colder out, you're going to want something a little heavier to avoid the frostbite. Something else to consider, you really don't need to carry a whole lot of clothing, but it's nice at nighttime before you crawl into your bag to put on a dry pair of socks and skivvies. Alright, you've been moving all day, you're going to have moisture in your clothing. If you want to stay warm, especially if it's that time of year like this, when you know the temperature is going to drop at nighttime, you're going to want to put on a dry base layer before you crawl into the sleeping bag. Let the clothing you're wearing hang up and inside the shelter and dry overnight. Another thing I'll carry is a fleece beanie. I carry that throughout the year. You never know when you're going to get a cold rain come along or something like that. It's nice to have something to cover your head up with at nighttime. And I've also got a microfiber towel in there just for drying off should I need to. Now if you're carrying the poncho, obviously you've got some protection while you're moving. I prefer to carry a lightweight set of Gore-Tex for an outer shell. I have a jacket and a pair of pants in here. Very lightweight, very compact, easy to carry, easy to put on. I just prefer to have that beyond the poncho. Even though I carry the poncho quite a bit, most times I'd rather have the jacket. Comes in handy if you're going to use the poncho to set up your shelter. Obviously then you can't really leave your shelter if you don't have some other kind of outer layer to put on. Obviously in the winter time, something else you might want to consider adding to your kit are something like long johns, fleece tops, sweatshirts, whatever the case may be. Obviously the more layers you have, the warmer you're going to be. So that pretty much wraps up what we were talking about here with the packs and the shelters. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us here on Facebook, and be glad to answer anything that you got. Until next time, be safe.